The rest are sitting room, servant quarters, and other small places. And you know, Mr. Speaker, having a PhD and dealing with corruption, having a PhD and dealing with corruption are two different things. So now that's one thing I want him to illustrate, even physically, if he can, how he's going to deal, how he's going to deal with corrupt people in that place. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, how is he going also, because fertilizer is one of the biggest problems when it comes to corruption also. How are you going to work with the industries locally here to develop a fertilizer manufacturing program within the country here so that this issue of importation of fertilizer can end? So if you can prove those two things, for me, I'll be satisfied, because I know after 1 year, you will be walking jobless in the street, I can assure you. I can tell you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Junet, for your questions. I know dealing with cartels is a big issue, and there are many formats and very many forms. But if I am approved by this House and this committee, I'm saying I'm giving a notice on cartels. Notice that they will be out of business. In the fact that my background is that, and one of the principles which I hold very dear is integrity, not to be compromised. And the other principle I hold very dear is having the country's and the farmers' interest first. So I will deal with them. We will do whatever it takes.
Utatembea na nyundo.
I will do whatever it takes, Mr. Speaker, to deal with them, putting systems in place, as I was said, governance structures, making sure that I involve all the agencies of the government. I'm sure the government of Kenya is capable of, and have agencies which can deal with these cartels, and I will be in the forefront for that.
Nelson?
On the development of the fertilizer, it's a good one, because we need to develop the local industry. What is happening today is that most of the manufacturers we have are for bleeding. They are not for manufacturing of fertilizer. And it will be good to explore further whether they can, apart from bleeding, which is important, because we need to blend for coffee, we need to blend for tea, we need to blend for various crops. We need also to go a step further and do the manufacturing of the fertilizer. So if I'm approved, this is one of the agenda I would like to pursue.
Nelson Koech.
Thank you, Speaker. Daktari, there is a crisis in the tea sector. Tea prices at the Mombasa auction were on a downward trend in 2022, forcing the government to establish a minimum reserve price of 2.6 USD for teas from the east of the Rift and USD 2.4 for teas from the west of the Rift. This initiative was aimed to stabilizing the market and addressing the declining tea prices at the Mombasa auction. However, the current pricing structure has resulted in several millions of teas being unsold, thus resulting in stagnating in warehouses and facilities. What strategies will you employ to alleviate this situation? Additionally, is the government interference in the manner necessary in a free market, and how can it be balanced to ensure that market stability without causing an adverse effect?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Nelson Koech. Yes, I'm seized by this issue about the minimum price, which has been set of $2.65 US and 2.4, and that unattended what I would call effects, which is the piling up of the tea in the warehouses in Mombasa. This is a serious issue because it affects the incomes of our farmers, of tea farmers, and the intention was good, but I think going forward we have to review that policy. It has to be reviewed with all the facts on the table. I will take the charge when if approved, that if necessary we don't have to create this price setting. We have to say, let it go so that it is a free market, but it needs to be carefully, cautiously done so that it doesn't impact negatively on the incomes of our farmers. So I will review that policy of the pricing, whether we need a market-driven or a setting price in the tea sector. Thank you.
Posing.
Thank you, Speaker. And at least the nominee, in his 62 years, has at least found some time to find motivation or work in public service. Not like others who are going for retirement and they're forced to join public service. So my question to the nominee is this. Is coming in at a time when we can view or see agriculture as dead, which is actually supposed to be the backbone of this country. But the sector is dead. And what I mean, Honorable Speaker, is if you look at outlet, which is market of agriculture, is dead. All manufacturing or value addition to motivate farmers to do their farming is dead. If you go to maize, the outlet or the market is dead. If you go to pyrethrum, we used to do very well in my constituency, and for the nominee, West Pokot also grows pyrethrum at one point. But the exit or market is dead. You go to milk, is dead. Tea is dead. And you have been in public service, and suppose this committee and parliament approves you, I would like to know what you are going to do to improve this sector, particularly the value addition. Because if there's no value addition, then there's no motivation for farmers to do farming. What are you doing farming for? You don't get any money. And therefore, maybe you need to tell this committee, then how will you treat this market or outlet so that it can motivate now farmers and your work will be more easier. Number two, agriculture is basically devolved. Almost 100% devolved. It's almost like health. So in this sector, we are interviewing you, and yet the backbone of agriculture is at the county level, which National Assembly cannot access. So how will you work if you are approved? Because unless you work with counties, then your work will be theoretical, and maybe now dealing with cartels, or even those cartels might also change you to become a cartel. And as Honorable Junet says, you might find yourself no job in a year. What do you want? Would you like to propose a nexus between yourself or national government with county governments? Like, for example, having a summit between the Minister for Agriculture and all ministers of counties' agricultures. Like having a summit, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months. Like in health, doctors have succeeded to link national government with county governments. But there's no link within agriculture, national level and county level. What will you do in those two areas? Thank you, Speaker.
Yes, Dr.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Kosin, for that. Yes, I agree with you. There's the challenge of agriculture as it looks at the moment. Because when you look through the figures and the statistics, it indicates that despite agriculture being the backbone of our economy, we are not doing very well. When it comes to even our exports, we are not doing well. We are importing a lot of food into this country, almost worth about $4 billion. A lot of food in terms of when it comes to wheat, rice, edible oils. So we have a tall order in terms of going forward. And food security sometimes is threatened when it comes to maize production. But the last season has proved, for instance, that with good interventions, like the subsidized fertilizer, despite the problems, we can still have food security, where we produce over 48 million bags, and farmers are able to, and the country is able to have a semblance, a good food security. So I would first of all approach food security as one of the key areas in terms of making sure the farmers have, when approved, the farmers have those inputs, especially the fertilizer, as indicated before. The food security is also about making sure that those inputs are delivered on time and they are good quality. And the other issue, which is related to your second question, is apart from inputs, farmers need services. And these services are to be provided according to the Constitution. These are functions which are devolved, like extension. Extension, I would dare say that where I started those years ago, I feel pained to see what is happening. Extension, as we know it, is dead.
Completely.
Yes, it is dead. You go to the farmers have left to be their own devices. They don't know what to do. And you know, agriculture is about technology. Without the appropriate technology, you can do very little in terms of productivity. So this issue about engaging the counties will be, if I'm approved, will be one of my greatest and clearest priority, in that I will use all the structures which are provided, the intergovernmental structures, to engage the counties, to see what we can do, capacity build them, to fill the gaps. I was also thinking about even what is happening with the health sector, the model where the government, the national government has the health promoters. Can we have agri promoters working in the counties from national government? So those are areas which will be, as it has been suggested by Honorable Kosin, we can have a summit where we can dwell on these issues with the agriculture committees of the House, so that we move forward, because without extension and delivery of services, we are just doing the margins. We are not doing very, very much. We need support to our farmers. Thank you very much.
You're aware that formulation of agricultural policy, even where it's devolved, is still vested in you. So you have to formulate proper policies and cascade them down to the counties. Gikaria?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just on a follow-up on what Kosing was saying on devolution in agriculture. There are so many state agencies and regional developments which are duplicating what is being done at the county level. My question is, what concrete plans are you going to put in place to avoid that duplicity of functions and wastage? Secondly, unemployment is a huge concern in this country. What policies are you intending to bring to the ministry to encourage the young Kenyans to venture into agricultural activity as a form of employment and engagement in terms of to reduce the unemployment aspect in the country? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Gikaria. The duplication is because one of the biggest challenges in every sector is coordination. If you don't have good coordination, the duplication will occur. For instance, I'm sure, and if I'm approved, the sector which I'm going to the ministry has about 36 parastatals. Very many of them doing various things. But are they coordinated? Are they tuned to the priorities of the sector? I think that is my challenge as the incoming CS, if I am approved, to make sure that they are tuned to what is the priorities of the sector. Because I think some of them are not, they are doing their mandate and they are semi-autonomous, but we need to work as a team, to work towards a certain goal. So apart from coordinating with counties, there are also inter-ministerial coordination which is required to make sure that those parastatals and agencies are working towards the laid down priorities. Employment. Agriculture is the biggest sector in our economy. I'm quite aware of that. And without agriculture absorbing some of our youth, it will be a very big task for the economy to do so. So we will be, if I'm approved in this by this committee, I will endeavor to make sure that the youth are taken care of, especially by when we are implementing all the interventions which are identified under the bottom-up transition, the better be it in leather, be it in dairy, be it in the crops like rice and everything, the value chains, all those value chains, we will get the nodes where the youth have to come in to create jobs for them and to make sure that they are meaningful jobs where they can be engaged right from the grassroots all the way. So the value chains approach is the way to go, and I will promote it and make it very clear that we are even monitoring how the youth are getting whether the youth are getting engaged. Thank you.